Hi, everybody, and welcome again to the REI Foundation Podcast with Jason and Peely. Today is MULTIFAMILY Monday. Yay!
Happy Monday, everybody. So today we're going to talk about when a deal falls apart. We were talking with an investor earlier who was a bit disgruntled because they had put a lot of time into a deal and
a lot of money
out of pocket, and ultimately it fell apart a couple minutes into the process. So that's okay. It's better, of course, to not do a bad deal than, in fact, do a deal. And that's something we always have to keep it back in our minds. We get so invested in these deals and we're into them and we love the deal. And then ultimately we feel compelled that the deal has to work. But there's a few reasons why a deal shouldn't fall apart. One is if you can't raise the money. That may be a tale that maybe you have the wrong deal, but ultimately you may not have put enough of your time together to do the right work to be able to prepare your investors to understand the deal properly. And you may have done this too late in the game. So that's one reason why your deal shouldn't fall apart. Another reason would be if you don't have financing in place. Now that again could be a blessing in disguise. If a lender is telling you different, that they can't underwrite the property to meet their guidelines. Either it's the wrong lender for this type of property, or ideally they're looking at numbers and they've done this and they do this every day and they're telling you this is not a good deal. So it's okay for a deal not to work out as long as you're the reason it's not working out. Some other reasons it may actually not work out is in fact that the seller has not been completely upfront, which happens a lot. Yes. And there's some ghosts in the closet that may come up, whether it be repairs, CapEx, commingling between properties that they own, financials not adding up, claiming that rents are one thing on their rent roll when collections actually show that it's much less. So there's a lot of things that can kill the deal outside of your control, but don't fixate on just making the deal work, because this is, for most people, a couple-year hold, maybe longer. And you can imagine if it's a difficult project to start and you buy it wrong, well, it's going to be that much more difficult to operate this and control this property and make this perform to be able to either be a great property for you or ideally be a great property for you and your investors. So
there's so many things that can make a deal fall apart. But I think the one thing you have to remember getting into any deal, whether it's multifamily, whether it's single family, whether any sort of investment, try not to get your hopes up because anything could break it apart. So just try not to get your hopes up. And if it does fall apart, even if you made a huge investment, try move on. Don't take that as a failure. Take that as a lesson learned and move on to the next and the next and the next, because the deal flow will keep on coming if you have the power and just forthright to get through it.
That's great. Yep. Stick in your box, stick in your parameters. And when something ventures outside of it, and use people to your advantage. You build out this team, you build out a team of your property managers and your lenders and your mentors for this certain reason, is that you want to go into this deal with as many people looking at it as possible, because what you see may be right, but in fact you may be missing some of the other elements that one of the others may pick up, and they may see that there needs to be more in reserves, or that your repairs are not adequate for that nature, or what you're doing or anticipating that's going to be your increase in rents might not be as great as you first thought, because the comps you're pulling are not to that area, especially if you're doing this out of market. So use your team to your advantage. Be completely okay with a deal not working out. It's much better to have a deal not go to the finish line if it's the wrong deal than to buy a bad deal.
Well, thank you again for joining us on the REI Foundation Podcast with Jason and Peely. Again, so grateful for you for listening, and thank you again. Bye now.
Bye now.